Good day, everyone. Welcome to the course on Information Assurance and Security. I'm excited to have you all here, and throughout this course, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of information security and its critical role in our digital lives. Today, we'll be starting with the very basics and discussing the importance of information security in our modern interconnected world. Now, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to define information security and its significance, explain the key components of information security, describe the CIA triad and its relevance, identify the various threats and vulnerabilities in information security. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on some of the real-world events that highlight the urgency of information security. Now, here are some, and there are three of them. It's the Equifax data breach, Yahoo data breaches, and the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. Let's start first with Equifax. To give you a brief information on this was that Equifax data breach was actually a major security incident that exposed the personal information of over 147 million Americans in 2017. Now, the breach affected people's social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, and in some cases, driver's license numbers and credit card numbers. Now, the breach occurred because Equifax failed to patch a known security vulnerability in its website. The vulnerability allowed the hackers to access the personal information of millions of people without a password. Imagine. So, Equifax was fined $700 million for its role in the breach. Now, the company also offered free credit monitoring and identity theft protection to those affected by the breach. Equifax data breach was a major wake-up call for the credit reporting industry. It showed that even the largest and most sophisticated companies are not immune to cyber attacks. The breach also highlighted the importance of protecting personal information online. And the next one is the Yahoo data breaches from 2013 to 2016. Now here, Yahoo experienced two major data breaches. That's 2013 and 2014. So, which affected a total of 3 billion user accounts. And the 2013 breach was the largest data breach in history at the time. And 2014 breach was the third largest. Okay, so in 2013 breach, it affected 3 billion Yahoo accounts that existed at that time. The hackers stole personal information such as names, email addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, and encrypted passwords. They also stole unencrypted security questions and answers which could be used to reset passwords. Now, in 2014 breach, it affected 500 million Yahoo accounts. The hackers stole the same personal information as in the 2013 breach, but they also stole unencrypted passwords. Now, Yahoo was slow to disclose the data breaches. The company did not announce the 2013 breach until December 2016. And it did not announce the 2014 breach until September 2016. Now, the data breaches had a significant impact on Yahoo, and the company lost users and market share. It also had to pay millions of dollars in fines and settlements. The FBI and the other law enforcement agencies investigated the breaches, but they were unable to identify the hackers. The attacks were believed to have been state-sponsored, but there is no definitive evidence to support this claim. The Yahoo data breach were a major wake-up call again for the tech industry. They showed that even the largest and most secure companies are not immune to cyber attacks. The breaches also highlighted the importance of protecting personal information online. Next is the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal was also a major privacy scandal that erupted in 2018. The scandal involved misuse of personal data of millions of Facebook users by political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica was a British political consulting firm that used data analytics to help clients win elections. The company was founded in 2013 by Alexander Nix and Christopher Wiley, and in 2014, Cambridge Analytica hired a researcher named Alexander Kogan to create a personality quiz app for Facebook. The app was called This Is Your Digital Life. The app was designed to collect data on Facebook users' personality traits, interests, and political views. Now, Kogan was able to collect data on millions of Facebook users without their consent. He did this by exploiting a loophole in Facebook's privacy policies. Cambridge Analytica then used the data collected by Kogan to create voter profiles. The company used these profiles to target political ads to a specific group of voters. It is alleged that Cambridge Analytica used the data to help Donald Trump campaign win the 2016 US presidential election. Now, the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal caused a major public outcry. Facebook was accused of failing to protect the privacy of its users, and the company was also accused of misleading investors about the risks it faced from misuse of user data. In response to the scandal, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg testified before the Congress, and he also apologized for the company's role in the scandal. Now, Facebook has since taken steps to improve its privacy policies, and the company has also banned third-party apps from collecting data on Facebook users without their consent. The Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal is a reminder of the importance of protecting personal data online. It is also a reminder that even the largest and most popular tech companies are not immune to cyber attacks. Throughout this chapter, we'll encounter several essential topics. Number one is defining information security. We will start by clarifying what information security actually means and why it's critical. Why it's a critical concern in our digital age. Understanding this definition will set the stage for our exploration of its components. Number two are the components of information security. One of the key takeaways from this chapter will be the concept of CIA triad, which stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, these three pillars serve as the building blocks of information security, ensuring that data remains private, accurate, and accessible when needed. And lastly are the threats and vulnerabilities. We'll also delve into the world of threats and vulnerabilities that pose risks to our digital assets. By understanding the potential dangers and weaknesses, we can better develop strategies to defend against them. Now, what is information security? Now, in simple terms, it's actually the practice of protecting information and data from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction. So here are other examples of practical applications of information security. First one is this one. The bank uses a firewall to protect its internal network from unauthorized access. Next is the government agency uses security awareness training to educate its employees about cyber threats. Next one is the university uses a data breach response plan to guide its response in the event of data breach. And finally, a small business uses password manager to help its employees create and manage strong passwords. Now let's delve into the core components of information security, which is often referred to as the CIA triad. So number one is confidentiality. No? Confidentiality focuses on keeping sensitive information private and accessible private and accessible only to authorized individuals. This could be your personal data, medical records, financial information, or trade secrets within the company. Now, to illustrate the scenario example is where there's a healthcare provider who safeguards the patient's medical records. Now, these records contain sensitive health information that must remain confidential. Now, the unauthorized access to these records could lead to privacy breaches, medical identity theft, and potential harm to patients. So, next is number two, integrity. It ensures that information remains accurate, reliable, unaltered throughout its life cycle, which applies to data in transit, data at rest, and data in use. So, an example is, imagine there's a financial institution that handles transactions. The integrity of the financial data is paramount. If a hacker alters the transaction records, it could result in unauthorized fund transfers and financial losses for both the institution and its customers. And finally, availability. Availability ensures that information is accessible and usable when needed. This applies to critical systems, services, and data. Think of an online banking systems, emergency services, and also communication platforms. Now, for example, for this is an example of a government emergency response system. During a crisis, citizens rely on this system to call for help. If the system experiences downtime due to a cyber attack, lives could be at risk due to delayed responses. Now, it's important to understand that these three components are interconnected and interdependent. Achieving strong information security requires striking a balance among them. Now, to put this into perspective, think of these components as the legs of a stool. Legs of a stool. If one leg is longer than the others, the stool becomes unstable. Similarly, if we prioritize one component over the others, our security stance becomes imbalanced. Now, in our section, we'll take a closer look at the threats and vulnerabilities that can compromise security of our information. Now, let's get ready to explore the various challenges that the world of information security presents. Okay, so threats and vulnerabilities. Now, threats are potential dangers that can exploit vulnerabilities and harm our information systems. And vulnerabilities, on the other hand, are weaknesses in our systems or practices that can be exploited. Now, here are the examples of threats. So, malware. Okay, this includes viruses, worms, and trojans that can infect our systems and compromise data. Next is social engineering. Attackers manipulate individuals into revealing sensitive information like passwords through psychological manipulation. Next is phishing. Sending of fraudulent emails that appear legitimate to trick recipients into sharing personal information. And ransomware. These are malicious software that encrypts data and demands a ransom for its release. Now here are examples of vulnerabilities. So weak passwords. Using easily guessable or common passwords that can be exploited by attackers. Next is unpatched software. So this is failing to update software with the latest security patches, which leaves vulnerabilities open. And next is lack of encryption. Transmitting sensitive information without encryption exposes it to interception. And the physical access. Allowing unauthorized individuals to access physical devices increase the risk of data compromise. Now, to help us understand these concepts better, I'll present you with a hypothetical scenario and let us identify the potential threats and vulnerabilities within it. So, are you ready? So, this is the scenario. Imagine you're an employee in a medium-sized company that handles financial transactions. The company's systems store customer banking information and sensitive financial data. Now, from here, let us try to identify the possible threats that this company could face and the vulnerabilities that might be present in this operation. So the first one is the potential threat. Now, the first potential threat is that there could be phishing attack. With this kind of scenario, there could be phishing attack targeting employees to gain access to the customer data. And next, another is for vulnerabilities. They might have weak password policies that employees don't follow, allowing unauthorized access. Next is another threat could be malware infiltration or malware infiltrating their systems through malicious attachment in emails. And another is a vulnerability might be using outdated software that lacks the latest security patches. So from this activity, we have identified some key threats and vulnerabilities that could jeopardize the security of the company. This highlights the importance of understanding the risks that organizations face and the weaknesses that can be exploited. Now, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to review the key points we've covered and reflect on the importance of understanding the fundamentals of information security. So throughout this lesson, we embarked on the journey into the world of information security, and we began by understanding the significance of information security in today's digital landscape. We explored the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability as the essential components that uphold the information security principles. We also dived into the concepts of threats and vulnerabilities, identifying the potential dangers and weaknesses that can compromise the security of our data and systems. It's important to recognize that the principles we've covered today provide the foundation for our entire course. By understanding information security fundamentals, we are equipping ourselves with the tools to navigate the challenges of this increasingly interconnected world. Now, information security isn't just a theoretical concept. It has real-world implications that touch our personal lives, the businesses, our environment, and even government systems. With this, I'd like to thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.